I need to talk to you about League's new Chemtech dragons because they're a mess right now. In games, sometimes something is broken if it's overpowered, or it's broken because it simply doesn't work. Well, amazingly, Chemtech dragons are both types of broken. They're broken and they're broken. And we have just weeks to go until the new competitive season starts. I am seriously concerned. Alright, before we get into talking about Chemtech dragons, make sure you subscribe to the channel, especially if you like League videos. The more people that subscribe, that enjoy League videos, the more League videos I can make. It's a nice cycle. It's not a vicious cycle, it's a good one. So subscribe. I think it's fair to say that everyone's used to elemental dragons by now. Sure, people have always said that Infernal or Ocean Soul is a little bit too strong perhaps, but you know what? It was never really the end of the world. But back in October, Riot announced they were adding 2 new dragons to the game. One of these, the Hextech dragon, looked okay. Killing a standard one gave your team attack speed and ability haste, and the soul gave your basic attacks and abilities a chain lightning effect. The elemental map transformation creates these cool little Hextech gates that you can use to get around the map. Yes, exactly, just like Arcane. I've got no problem with the Hextech dragon, he's alright by me. The other one though is Chemtech. Chemtech dragon buffs give you increased damage against enemies with more health than you, but the soul buff literally gives you and your allies a Scion passive where you can still use your abilities in a zombie state for a few seconds after you die. On top of that, we've also got the Chemtech map transformation, which transforms part of the jungle into camouflage zones on both sides where you can't see an enemy unless they're almost on top of you, and normal wards don't help at all.
These dragons might seem more impactful than the current ones, and, well, they are. Our goal is to add more unique encounters and meaningful strategy to the mid and late game. That said, these are some pretty big changes, and we're ready to adjust if they're making too much, too little of an impact.
So that announcement was back in October, and since then, well, it's been a bit of a shambles, lads. Let's start with the Chemtech map. Basically, if you're already losing a game and then half the map gets turned into this camouflage zone, you're f***ed. You're seriously f***ed. Although Cadril puts it more eloquently than that.
The problem with the Chemtech dragon is when the enemy team is ahead, you can't put defensive wards as the defending team. You can't put defensive wards and you can't fight in your own vision when they walk in, because everyone is invisible. So if I push in mid-wave as the enemy team and I stand here in my invisibility, you can't do anything. You actually can't do shit. The only way to defend your own jungle is putting pinks in your own jungle, which is not healthy for the game whatsoever. It's really inefficient, it's bad spread of vision, and it's easily cleared. And this happens on both sides. And what do you get when you're behind? Can you make a pick in this? No, you can't. You can't make a pick because the vision's too big to see each other, right? The Chemtech dragon map is terrible for a losing team.
Now, on a non-Chemtech map, a losing team might try and wrestle back some control of their own jungle by clearing enemy wards and placing their own. They would then most likely sit in a bush and hope to try and make a pick on the enemy team. But on Chemtech maps, normal wards don't matter. You can clear the enemy wards and place your own. Doesn't matter to them, they're still going to sit there in camouflage and one-shot you as soon as you go near them. And as for sitting in a bush on a Chemtech map, well, they're gone. But don't worry, you can still place down your vision wards, except with no bushes to actually place them in, they're about as useful as an inflatable dartboard. Now, I've seen some people say that the new bonus objective goal for the losing team helps to balance all of this out. But that's bollocks, because the inability to even step into your own jungle as a losing team more than cancels that out. But maybe I wouldn't even be here talking to you if it was just the map, but the map is only half of it. Chemtech Soul reviving players from the dead for a few seconds in a zombie form just feels bad to play against. Obviously the soul buff is supposed to be an advantage, but as one Reddit user put it, the Chemtech Soul is the most oppressive to play into from my experience. You have to win every team fight twice. And if you think that's an exaggeration, check out this clip from Reddit of one team having to kill their 5 enemies a total of 13 times because they had Chemtech Soul and 3 Guardian Angels. Guess what? They still went on to lose that game. Now, when I compared this to a Sion passive earlier, I don't even think that's fair, to be honest, because at least when Sion dies, he doesn't have access to all of his abilities. If you barely manage to kill an enemy with Chemtech Soul, they're coming right back with all their abilities up. Meanwhile, you're probably on half HP with no abilities up because you just blew them all trying to kill this twat that's instantly come back as a zombie. How is that fun?
I don't know about this. They're kind of trolling.
You'll enter a zombie.
As the weeks went on and people got to experience the Chemtech map for themselves, it was obvious just how widely hated this thing was. Now, I don't know why, but Riot seems to have an obsession with two mechanics in League: dashes and stealth. Nowadays it's Akshan, Viego, Senna, Kiana, Pike, the Akali rework, and then on top of that, we've also got items like Dustblade. There's a lot of stealth going on these days. And now Riot are introducing an entire elemental map which gives every champion the opportunity to be a stealth champ. What this all boils down to for me is the feeling of being rightfully outplayed. You know those champions that when they kill you, you're not actually that mad because it takes a respectable amount of kill to be able to pull something off with them. For me, a good example might be Talia. If a Talia kills me, it's either because they're playing well or I'm playing badly. I never blame them or Riot though, and that feels good. With the Chemtech map though, if I'm on the losing team and the enemy is just sitting in the camouflage in our jungle, I don't feel like I'm being outplayed by them. It just feels like bullshit. Them sitting there looks easy and it feels like there's zero counterplay. Now, for most of this video I've been talking about how Chemtech is broken, but it's also been additionally broken, as in it doesn't even work sometimes. I've seen plenty of clips that show really weird glitches with the soul buff. Sometimes players get revived, but then either their lifesteal or shields stops them from dying properly. There's also been clips of the player then being teleported back to base at the moment that they should have respawned. Just really weird shit. I mean, at this point, I feel like the only thing stopping Chemtech from being too overpowered is the fact that sometimes it doesn't even work properly. Look, I know it's pre-season. I know some of you guys are going to say, hey, it's that time of the year where Riot introduces new things and then sort of smooths it all out and we're all happy in the new year. But did we even need to get to this point? Last week we did see a nerf come in for patch 11.24, but it only weakened Chemtech Soul slightly. They didn't even mention the whole map side of things, and now we're just weeks away from Season 12 starting. And it's one thing for me to get wound up by all of this because of my solo queue games, but what about pro play? What's that going to look like? Can you imagine just how predictable it's going to be when we get a Chemtech map? Even a terrible team would find it hard to f*** up from a winning position. It would just make games more predictable and more snowbally, and for me, that sucks. A lot of incredible moments for me in League esports have come from amazing comebacks. Chemtech Dragons look like they might make those moments rarer. Look, Riot loves to do this with League. They love to shake everything up once a year and just see what sticks. And by and large, the game has turned out okay, obviously. I'm here talking about it. League is clearly a better game than it was 10 years ago because of their changes, arguably even 5 years ago. But Chemtech Dragons feel different. It feels like a special game mode, except it's real. Like, it's the final thing. We're actually going into Season 12 with this. How will pro teams deal with this? We know that Riot likes to balance the game around the esports side of things, so are they about to pull a massive U-turn here? I can't wait to see.
What's going on your mug there? Between weight?
The smiley face with sunglasses, and then on the inside it says, "I'm literally too cool for this."
Is that you?
Someone bought it for me, so I guess it's me, yeah.
Does that make you feel like you, or does it feel like a different version of yourself? Maybe a foregone version of yourself. Maybe a yet to be version of yourself.
What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is what?
It could be a past Danny, it could be a future Danny, you never know.
Sounds like you're rewriting A Christmas Carol, but around me in this mug.